Stacey of Bike Homes, and welcome back to Dining Room Table Talks for Note Investors. This past week, I attended a software conference in Toronto, Canada, and while I was there, I had the opportunity to attend an invitation-only Women in Technology Luncheon. When I was sent the invite, I knew nothing about the speaker, Michele Romanow, but the fact that it was a Women in Technology Luncheon, I was sold. Little did I know when I signed up that I would have the opportunity to hear one of the most powerful women in Canada speak. As some might know, I currently work full-time in the software industry while Stacey works our note business full-time. I too work in our note business in the evenings and the weekends. The Women in Technology Lunch was the first annual event at this conference, so I was honored to have the opportunity to attend. Michele's message was so powerful and intriguing, I wanted to share it. There were several hundred other individuals, mostly women of all ages and from all over the world, in attendance at this luncheon to hear her talk, Getting to Success, Embracing What Works. I am sure some already knew how famous Michele Romanow was, which is why there was such an overwhelming attendance at the event. I was soon to find out just what Michele Romanow was all about, which is why I have dedicated this week's talk to the luncheon and Michele's message. Ms. Romanow spoke a little over an hour, but I could have listened to her all day. She was feisty, talked fast, yet passionate and very down to earth for someone whose estimated net worth is around $150 million at the age of 31. She had such a powerful message, which is why I wanted to share it with you in this talk. I also found myself listening to the message within the message, if you know what I mean. To give you a little background, Michele Romanow is an entrepreneur and at 30 was the youngest person to be on Dragon's Den, the Canadian version of Shark Tank. In addition, she was voted in among the top 100 Canada's most powerful women by Women's Executive Network in 2015. And she founded and or co-founded 5 businesses by the age of 31, just to name a few. She received a civil engineering degree along with an MBA from the University of Queens. She began her speech talking about her very first business, a tea room, a zero consumer waste coffee shop on campus in 2006 while she was still an undergraduate at Queens University. She raised about $100,000 to launch this cafe, one which is still going strong today and is run by the student government at Queens. Then she went on to talk about her second venture, Avondale Caviar, which she launched at the worst economical time period. But that didn't stop her. She talked about how there was only one place left in Canada that still had a natural supply of Atlantic sturgeon. And in that town, only 5 fishermen, all retired, had licenses, as they were not handing out any new licenses. She called around until she found out who the 5 names were, and then continued to call every name in the phone book until she found one of the names on the list. She ended up renting a license for one summer for $500. Now she knew that was a bargain, but even though she had a license, she had no fishermen skilled in this type of business, nor did she have the boat that she needed in order to catch the fish. So she continued on her journey to find a fisherman and a boat. She continued researching to find out that they should hire a gentleman named Ted. But the problem was Ted didn't own a boat. Romanow sat for 10 hours outside of Ted's house waiting on him to get home for their first meeting. However, Ted knew where to find a boat. Using money that they had raised, they bought the boat and took a portion of each fish caught towards Ted buying this boat. While getting the business off the ground, she lived in a hotel, learned how to process fish and make caviar. She would stay up every night calling restaurants to sell this caviar. She said this business taught her to be scrappy, really build something from nothing. Even though the business closed at the height of the U.S. stock market crash due to the world of luxury retail collapsing and new limited exports, she felt that it was a huge personal success. One she would probably never do again, but the fact that she did it was powerful to her. Throughout her speech, she continued to talk about each one of her ventures. Even though she never used the word persistence, not even one time, one thing rang loud and clear. You know, the message within the message was being persistent. The fact that she called until she found the 5 names, called everyone in the phone book of that name until she found one that had a license that was willing to even rent it to her, and of course the boat, she never quit. She was all about finding a way to get something done, even when it seemed like it couldn't. Her message was clear about a couple of things. Start something, anything. She said, people always say, I'm trying, I'm researching, and she urged us to just get out there and try. Sometimes, she said, you just have to trust your gut. She said to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Keep pushing. When you get the fear to take the risk, that's when you should do it. Stop being scared and just get going. Quit being afraid of failure. When you start something, you never know how it's going to turn out. She said she hates the picture people paint of the successful businesswoman. You know, the one with the person sitting on the beach, hands out like they're meditating, and come up with that wow idea. She said instead, success to her was the product of many small iterations and lots of failures. She talked briefly about her next ventures, Bytopia, Snap Saves, and Clear Bank. During the Bytopia venture, she talked about how the launch was a total disaster. She wanted to launch at the National Women's Show, and the person they hired to do the website missed the deadline. So literally at the trade show, they had a JPEG, which is just a picture, on the screen, and a buy button that worked over top that linked to a PayPal interface. Nonetheless, they got their first 3 deals worth $10,000 at the show, and hence their business was started. Snap Saves was a grocery couponing app where users would take pictures of their receipts and get rebates as opposed to redeeming a coupon in store. Snap Save, now called Snap by Groupon, was acquired by the American couponing giant Groupon in 2014. Her most recent venture is ClearBank, which provides financial services for freelancers and non-traditionalists in the United States. Then she talked about her role on Dragon's Den. She was, again, the youngest at age 30 to be a star on that show. She said on her 4th day of shooting, she was actually accused of somehow getting the names and the notes on the presenting entrepreneurs on the show because, in their words, she knew too much about the industries that the people were presenting. She told them an emphatic no, but that she had tried to start half the businesses that were being pitched herself. She continued on to say that for every business we tried that people might know, there were 5 that didn't work. Finally, the floor was opened for questions. One woman stood and asked her how she overcame her fear of being afraid and afraid to fail. To which she responded, "Are you kidding? I am still afraid. I am human, and it's something about women that make them think this way, but you just have to keep pushing and trying." Again, she said, get comfortable not being comfortable and trust your gut. She shared her personal mantra, which is never get comfortable. Another question asked was what should she say to his daughter, to which she responded that perhaps she wasn't the best to give advice to children since she didn't have kids, but again the message was to not limit yourself. She felt that girls should know math and metrics to get ahead. She talked about how, as a kid, there was no separation of duties among boys and girls in her house, just work to be done. So she changed tires, changed the oil, and shoveled snow right along with the other people in her family. She learned early on that no task was beneath her. So although this was a great speech, you might be wondering, what does it have to do with the note business? Well, I learned from Michele that no business, in our case, a note, is perfect. You can take a note and still make something of it, even if it seems like what you originally thought would happen as an exit strategy does not. There are so many exit strategies in notes that you can still be successful with a note even if it doesn't exit the way you thought it might when you bought it. I also learned to just keep pushing, keep reaching out, keep marketing, and continuing to just do something. Doing something every day will make a difference. Finally, I took away from her talk that we should get comfortable by not being comfortable. If a note deal is a good one, it will find the money. We should not be afraid to buy a note, even if we don't currently have the funds. Well, I hope you enjoyed listening about my adventure at the Women in Technology Luncheon in Toronto, Canada, with guest speaker Michele Romanow. I encourage you to do what Bike Homes did and just get started. Whether it is buying your first note or joining us as a joint venture partner, we help people earn potentially double-digit returns on their investments by investing in distressed assets, promissory notes backed by real estate. If you would like to learn more about how you can make your IRA or other investment capital work better for you, I encourage you to please drop us a line at Stacey, STACEY @bike.com, or visit us on our website at www.bikehomes.com, or connect with us on one of our many social media accounts. That's all for now. Have a great evening.